Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hot Girls Learn Hockey podcast. My name is Sarah. If you're new to the show, this is the show where we talk about all things hockey, the what to knows, the who to knows, and everything in between. And finally, I'm getting to what actually a lot of people have been asking me to make an episode on, especially since I did my player profile on Alex Ovechkin. We're finally talking about Wayne Gretzky, okay? Okay? Will you leave me alone now that I've talked about it? Oh my god. It's been a long time coming. I said I was going to do it 3 episodes ago. But also I didn't plan to have mental breakdowns, okay? Those were not planned, in case you wanted to know. But yeah, so that will be today's episode. We're going to talk about Wayne Gretzky. Little prefaces before I get into everything. Just like with Ovechkin, this man has broken a lot of records, has won a lot of trophies, has a lot of accolades. Yeah. So I'm not going to go over every single moment where, when he scored his 500th goal, when he scored his 100th goal, whatever. I'm only going to mention the ones that, are, I don't want to say that are worth mentioning, because he's, the greatest. So I feel like a lot of what he does is worth mentioning. But for time's sake, mentioning just, the very, very important ones, okay? All right? Got it. Before that, let's do a little catch-up on current happenings in hockey. Yesterday was the first of the third round of the Stanley Cup Finals, i.e. the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference was 2 days ago, and of course Florida beats the Hurricanes, as they should. I think it was 6-1. It was fucking insane. And then yesterday, I've been filming this on May 22nd. Yeah, today's May 22nd. So yesterday, May 21st, was the first game of the Western Conference Finals. And if you didn't know, it's down to Dallas Stars and Edmonton Oilers. And I have been saying, and you can go back to last episode or the episode before that, I think I talked about it in both of them. I have been saying that I could see Dallas taking it all. I really thought it was going to come down between the Jets and Florida, but now I'm very much visualizing a Dallas and Florida finals. I want to say I love the Florida Panthers. They're a dirty fucking team. I don't care. I love Matthew Tkachuk with all my heart, but I don't know, man. Dallas has been so good. They've been really, really good. And I think a lot of people are expecting Edmonton to beat them out in the for the Western Conference. I don't know, man. I just have something. I was gut feeling that Dallas is gonna do it. I do think it's gonna get down to Game 7, because a lot of them have been coming down to Game 7, especially with those two teams. But yeah, it's such just exciting. This is my first time actually following the Stanley Cup playoffs, or really any sports playoffs, because I really don't follow any other sports. My boyfriend is following the NBA, all that stuff right now. So he's been kind of updating me on all that. But in regards to hockey, this is my first one that I'm actively following, and I have just been having such a fun time watching it. And so yeah, let me think if there's anything else in hockey news that we should talk about. I mentioned in the last episode that the Sharks, when I say we, I mean the Sharks, that we got the second overall draft pick for the 2025 NHL draft. And so that will be very interesting to watch and see who we get. I'm excited for that, because this is my first live draft watch that I'm watching. I'm not going in person, but I'm going to watch it on TV. Either that or go to SAP, because they have an event going on there for their season ticket holders, which my boyfriend and I are, which is very, very exciting. So I can't wait to tell you guys all about that stuff on all the cool events that we're going to be doing come September and October when the season starts. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to catch up with you guys on in regards to just current happenings in hockey. So let's just jump into it. I have the Sharks Cup back. You'll be happy to know. And you will also be happy to know that it does indeed have my non-branded black cherry hard seltzer in it. So let's grab a snack. Let's grab a little drink if you'd like. And let's talk about Wayne Gretzky. Right, cheers. Off topic, but I tried out a new lotion and like body oil today, and it smells so good. And I keep getting whiffs of myself. I'm like, who smells good? Oh my god, it's me. It's really good. It's the EOS Cashmere Vanilla Body Oil and body lotion. So if you're wanting to smell like a warm vanilla sugar cookie, that's it. It smells so good. Okay. I keep getting distracted. So who is Wayne Gretzky? That is a question that if I were to ask any avid hockey fan, like, who is Wayne Gretzky? They would look at me like I have like a million heads. They'd be like, are you serious? Or like, what? Like, that's crazy. He is probably the number one hockey player. If you were to ask anyone who doesn't actively follow like current hockey, they probably know who Wayne Gretzky is. My first introduction to who he was as a figure, as a person, as is, was from the show Everybody Hates Chris. Which if you've never seen it, it's a really funny show. But Chris's younger brother, Drew, is a really big hockey fan. And the show takes place in the 80s, which is kind of like the heyday of Gretzky's career. He was playing for Edmonton at this time. But, hockey was like a huge thing, like I mentioned in a couple of episodes before. I think it was my episode about either the history of hockey itself or hockey broadcasting, something like that. I mentioned that the 80s, in my opinion, were had the biggest boom in popularity for hockey, what with Wayne Gretzky, and then also the whole Miracle on Ice thing with the Winter Olympics and our team beating Russia's team or the Soviet Union's team. I can't remember what they were called back then. I think it was Soviet Union. But all this to say, that was my first introduction. Was Everybody Hates Chris, because the character of Chris's younger brother, Drew, really, really loved Wayne Gretzky. And so he, mentioned him a lot. And I was like, oh, okay, he's probably just a really popular hockey player. And so that was my introduction to who he was. I didn't really know anything else about him other than the fact that he was a really good hockey player. He's retired now. And that he's won a couple of Stanley Cups. And he's considered one of, the greatest hockey players of all time. And he's very well respected in the NHL and the hockey community. But who is he as a person? How did he get to being the greatest? Let's go into that. So some basic information that you should know about him. His number is 99, which is very cool. And also, didn't know this, his birthday is January 26th. He was born January 26th, 1961 in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. If you didn't know this about me, my birthday is January 27th. Not in 1961, but in 1998. So we're almost birthday twins. He's an Aquarius like me. Love that. So he started learning how to skate when he was around 2 years old. Going up in Canada, you kind of if you have some kind of stability on the ice, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's gonna be a hockey player. And then from a very young age, just like with Ovechkin, his talent in hockey was very prominent. It was so prominent, in fact, that by the time he was 5 years old, he was playing in leagues in Canada that were more catered towards older boys, but it didn't matter the age difference or the height difference. He was still proving his talent against these much older, taller, probably stronger players. He would spend tons of hours on the ice practicing his skating, his shooting, his passing, all to become a better player, and just a better athlete in general. And then once he, became a teenager. He entered his teen years. He was starting to become known all over Canada due to his talent in hockey. People knew him as, just a really talented player. And then when he was 16, so in 1977, he was selected third overall in that year's Ontario Major Junior Hockey League draft. And he also played on a team that was in this league called I think it's a French word. I'm gonna butcher this. Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. That was the name of the team. So were they just the Greyhounds? I don't know. But that was the team that he played for in the Ontario Major Junior Hockey League. And he also played in the 1978 World Junior Championships, repping Canada, obviously, where he led the entire tournament in scoring. So now we're up to 1978. Like I mentioned, he is 17 at this time. And his main goal was he wanted to join the professional leagues really, really bad. More specifically, he wanted to join the NHL, like be on an NHL team. But obviously, he's 17, and the youngest you can be on a NHL team is 18. So he's turning 18 next year in 79. So in the meantime, he would sign a contract with the WHA, or the World Hockey Association. And he played on a team called the Indianapolis Racers. But shortly after this, so he joined in 1978. This happened in 1979. The WHA did their merger with the NHL, which, if you remember from my NHL history episode, you would know about this fact that how did I phrase it? They worked it out on the remix and they decided on a merger agreement in 1979. And so their World Hockey Association was dissolved and NHL took a ton of their teams. And along with that, took Wayne Gretzky with them, which would go on to be a very, very smart decision that they would pretty much immediately, know about. And the way that they phrased it was so funny. He was then sold to the Edmonton Oilers when he was 18. I think that just means that his contract was sold to the Oilers. Obviously him as a person was not sold to the Edmonton Oilers, but regardless, this would start his NHL hockey career. Because remember, he's 18 at this time now, so slay. Love it. So the 1979 to 1980 season was his first full NHL season, and like always, he started dominating the competition and crushing it in the league pretty much right away. He ended his very first season with 51 goals and 86 assists, which is crazy, especially for your rookie year in the NHL. It's like, oh, go off. He also this year won the Hart Memorial Trophy, being the first year player to ever receive this honor and receive this award. So also very cool. And his influence on the Oilers led them to become one of the best teams in the league. And now in 1983, so we're up to the 80s now, he became captain of the team. And then in 1984, which was his first season of being the captain, he led them to the Stanley Cup Championships, where they would win, which is super cool. And then he would also lead them to go on to win the cup again in 1985, 1987, and 1988, all with him being captain of the team, which is super, super cool and such a just crazy accomplishment. He was breaking records left and right, and while on the Oilers during this time, he would gain the nickname The Great One, due to, I don't really think I need to explain it, due to just being the Great One, being amazing on the ice. So he's killing it. He's crushing records, making his own personal records, and everything was great. But then something very interesting and kind of unexpected happened. In summer of 1988, the Oilers traded Wayne Gretzky to the LA Kings, which shocked a lot of people. And they traded him in exchange for some key players, draft picks, and also cash. So a lot of people have speculated why this would have happened, especially because, like I mentioned, they won the cup in 1988. He was also traded in 1988. So, like, you're coming off of the high of so many years of back-to-back cup wins. And, a team leads... everyone on the team leads them to victory. It's not just one person, but he's the captain of these guys. Like, he is like the face. He is the face. He is the player. He is the moment. So why would you give that up on your team? And so there's been a lot of speculation. I don't think we know the true reason why this trade happened, but there are a couple of theories. I'm only going to read off two of them. The first one was that Wayne himself pushed to be traded. And this was because he married this lady named Janet Jones, who he is still currently married to. And she was an actress, and he wanted to, help further her career. And it's hard to further that if you're in Edmonton in Canada. But if you're in LA, Hollywood, baby, it'd be a lot easier. So the theory was that he pushed to be traded so that he could help his wife further her career. Another one was that the NHL thought that Gretzky's talent was being quote unquote wasted by playing in Canada and playing for the Edmonton Oilers. And they thought that by having him play in LA for the Kings, that hockey would gain more popularity in not just the US, but more specifically in Southern California. Because at this point, they were the only team down in SoCal, like NHL team that was like, a prominence. Obviously, they would get the Anaheim Ducks later, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Stupid name. But again, this is just speculation, and maybe we'll never know the real reason why. But regardless, it happened, and we moved on. And his first full season playing was in the 1988 to 89 season for LA. He wasn't, dominating the ice as much as he did in Canada as he was in LA in his like seasons and stuff. But he was still, racking up goals, racking up points. In 1993, he did lead the team to the Stanley Cup Finals, but they did lose to the Montreal Canadiens in Game 5. Also during his time in LA playing for the Kings, he shot his 802nd goal. Now, what this means is, let's backtrack. There's another really, really good hockey player, which I will do another player profile about. His name is Gordie Howe. And the way that I'm going to do this comparison, Gordie Howe to Wayne Gretzky is like Wayne Gretzky to Alex Ovechkin, in the sense of they're very comparable players, and the public was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is going to be the guy to beat this other guy's record, which Wayne did. He beat Gordie Howe's scoring record by shooting his 802nd goal. He scored it on March 23rd, 1994, and it was the same thing of the whole 895 thing with Ovechkin. There was the 802. Like, there was hats made, t-shirts made. There was a whole press hullabaloo. It was great. But then 2 years after this, in 1996, he left LA and they went to play for the St. Louis Blues, but he only played one season with them and really didn't play like an entire season, really, because he joined them in February of 1996, but he left in April of that same year, and then would go on to play for the New York Rangers, which, he played with them from 96 up until 1999, when he decided to retire at the age of 38. He played his final NHL game on April 18th of 1999, and he ended his career with the famous 894 goals that kept him as the top scoring NHL player of all time up until this year, when obviously, like I did mention in my episode about Ovechkin, Alex Ovechkin beat his record this year, 2025. And like I also mentioned in that episode, Wayne Gretzky was in attendance at that game. It was a game against the New York Islanders, which was really funny because they ended up losing that game. But Wayne Gretzky was there, and he shook Ovechkin's hand, said good job. It was a big press moment, really, really cool to be watching that. Also, this same year in 1999, he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and, has just since then been living retirement life. It's crazy you can retire at 38, but I mean, that is a very long time playing hockey. Hockey is a very physically demanding sport, as I'm sure any fan would know, and any person who's played ice hockey knows. Yeah, it's a lot. He is still, like I mentioned, married to his wife Janet, which is very cute, and they have 5 kids, I believe. Yeah, they have 5 kids together. Super cool. And now that's all of his NHL career, but I did just want to briefly touch on his hockey playing in other leagues, more specifically international leagues and the Winter Olympics. So he did play for Team Canada in the Winter Olympics. He first repped them in the 1998 Winter Olympics in Japan. This being the first year, actually, that NHL players could play in the Olympics. Then he would also represent Canada in other various international championships, such as the World Championships, World Cup, and Canada Cup, where they would place in, like, I think it's like silver, bronze, whatever. You can look up all that stuff, but I just want to briefly mention that because he didn't just play for the NHL. He also obviously played for different international competitions, championships, tournaments, etc., etc., etc. And his influence to this day is still felt in hockey. He's referenced a lot when current NHL players are asked who they think the best player in hockey history is. Him, Gordie Howe. A lot of people also will say Sidney Crosby. It's just, he's the great one. Like, I don't know what else to say. He's the great one. He also, what I didn't know, was the first person, or he like coined the quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." I unironically say that a lot in just my day-to-day life. I will say that in like literally the most stupid situations, like encouraging my girlfriends to go up and talk to a guy at a bar, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, girly. And now I can quote Wayne Gretzky on that. How did I not know that he was like the one who coined that phrase or coined that quote? That is so funny to me. Oh my god. All right, and so yeah, that is the life and times of Wayne Gretzky. That actually wasn't a ton of research that I had to put into it, just because he has really lived a very simple life. Not saying that Alex Ovechkin's life was super turmoil and he dealt with all this, but like also he dealt with the NHL lockout season. He is from Russia, so he was like going back and forth to play Russia teams and all the da-da-da-da. But like Gretzky was just a chiller. He's still a chiller. Even though he's pissed off a couple of people this year, but we're not going to get into that. Like during his career, he was just kind of a chill dude. Like he really didn't make waves too much in terms of, any public scandals or like you don't hear him when talking about like any drama really. And from what I've read from other people's accounts of just like watching him in his prime, in his heyday, and in the 80s and everything, and also just like people who like know him, they're like, he is a very humble guy. You know, like what's that one quote from Teddy Roosevelt, like, walk quietly but carry a big stick, kind of that whole mentality. So there wasn't too much that, like, other than his career stuff, that I was like, oh, like, there's not really very much to talk about other than just how amazing he is, which I guess is a really good legacy to have. We love that. Yeah, lots of people just really like him. He's just a chiller dude. I think he owns like a couple of restaurants in like New York and Toronto and California and stuff. I think from what I read that him and his wife still live down in California. They probably live down in SoCal if I'm guessing. But that was my player profile on Wayne Gretzky. My boyfriend's going to be very, very excited that I finally filmed this. When I told him that I was finally doing the research and filming my Wayne Gretzky episode, he said, oh my god, this is probably going to be the first one that I sit down and like fully watch. Not that he doesn't watch my episodes, he will watch them, but like he'll watch them while he's doing something else, which is totally fine. I am guilty of also just putting on podcasts in the back while I'm like doing laundry or like washing the dishes or cooking or anything. So, and I'm like just not tuning in the entire time, but I'm casually tuning in. So he's very supportive. He is very supportive. I love you so much. You are listening to this episode. I know that you are because you told me you would. I love you so much. You are very, very supportive and just happy for me doing this show. What else do I say at the end of the episode? So if you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It does help out a lot. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please make sure to give the show a good rating. So one thing I don't really plug is my Instagram. My Instagram is in my bio, and also like in the description of every episode, but it's at Sarah X Craig, which is just my name. I also made a TikTok for I made a TikTok for this podcast. I think it's just at HGLH pod. I'll also put that down in the description too if you would like to follow her. I have not posted anything. I literally have just used it to go and stalk Book Talk for L. Kennedy's books and stuff. But hey, you know what? If I get enough people wanting me to post TikToks and post like highlight reels on that, I'll start doing it. Yeah, I just get really lazy. And I forget to promote this show other than just on my personal Instagram. But yeah, that's all for me today. And I love all of you guys so much. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.